My name is Sahil Jaggi. In 8 years of being in real estate when I transitioned in, I've accumulated a portfolio of more than $10 million. Currently have 2 companies, including development real estate company, a real estate fund, and I'm serving over 100 clients in my career of the last 4 years as a real estate agent. And I continue to acquire and increase my portfolio in real estate in Toronto. I was born in Delhi, India. I was there until I was 16 years of age. Came here with the goal of going to a university, specifically in finance and economics. So I came here and I was in high school for the first 6 months I was in Canada. I was a house guest at one of my aunt's house. And then eventually I got accepted to go to economics and finance in Wilfrid Laurier University. Initially the options were between going to London and US and Canada. And for a person with limited means, Canada compared to US and London was a bit cheaper for somebody to go and get higher education. I hadn't ever been to Canada before I moved to Canada, so it was a completely new different experience for me. But it definitely lived up or even beat my expectations because Toronto, when I came, was extremely diverse, friendly, accepting of immigrant kind of city. When I came to Canada, I didn't really have much of an expectation because for a 16-year-old person, you don't really know much. The only thing that was exciting was the stuff that you saw on TV, the stuff that you read in books. But when I came here, it made me realize that, so many people come to Toronto from different cities. And because there are so many different people and there's so much diversity in the city, it doesn't feel like you're an outsider. First 2-3 years was like a huge cultural shock. You have your family, you have your sisters, you have your mom, you've never lived away from home, and not only are you living away from home, you're living in a completely different city altogether in a different part of the world. I realized people are a lot more independent in the city. So when I came here, the goal was to become an investment banker. My initial goal was to always remain in finance and work in finance. Right after university, I got my dream job. I actually moved to New York to work for like a year and a half as an investment banker. Shortly, I realized that I didn't want to be in New York anymore. I didn't like investment banking anymore, and I really missed being in Toronto with my friends that I, sort of went to university with. I came back to Toronto to, and main goal was to get a job that didn't involve sitting behind a desk. It wasn't like a paper pushing kind of job. So I applied to some sales roles and corporate sales roles, and I got into a job with Nestle Canada at the time, and this was in 2010. And it got me the opportunity to meet different people, from convenience stores to Walmart stores to Costco and a bunch of different stores that I was handling for Nestle at the time. While I was doing that, I started investing into real estate and I transitioned. It started off as a project that I wanted to buy a condominium for myself because I had a bit of money saved up. And from there, it kind of just, I transitioned into becoming a real estate investor. I knew that for that 6 years that I wasn't in Toronto, Toronto was home. Expectations were also beaten because I realized that how much this city has to offer to people. For example, healthcare benefits, education, even for an opportunity for startups and businesses, with low interest rate costs and so much support. Typically, you would think that right after university, you want to get a job and you want to get just a 9-to-5 life. If you want to be an entrepreneur and if you have the dreams to really reach out and really follow your dreams, this city also gives you a lot of support to get there. It wasn't easy for me because I didn't really have that much support from my parents or anything back home. And today I'm in a position I can lucky enough to say that, I can support my parents from being here. And being a first-generation Canadian and, going from a student loan to a 9-to-5 job, transitioning into becoming an entrepreneur, and from there, transitioning into becoming a very successful entrepreneur, I would say, from that aspect, if you look at it, I didn't expect it. And that's why as I live in this city more, I fall in love with it more, which I don't think a lot of cities out there, because of the bureaucracy, the political instability, and a lot of the other factors stop an individual from achieving its dreams. There's definitely a lot of challenges that I faced, such as being young and being in sales. And when you're trying to sell real estate, when you're trying to close contracts for Nestle, automatically people assume you don't have experience. The biggest challenge for me was to break that barrier and to make people realize that, experience, of course it helps, but at the same time, experience also depends on how much time you spend. I was very passionate about real estate. I knew this is what I wanted to do. I started 3 companies. I own more than 14 real estate properties. Having that challenge and going out there and selling real estate to people who are much older to me, I feel like that age barrier was one of the biggest challenges that I faced, but I feel like if you know your stuff enough and you believe in it enough and you have conviction in your own gut that you can achieve your dreams, I think you can surpass any of those challenges. to achieve success at a young age, especially being a minority, there's obviously that question in people's minds that, you know, if we are going to invest with this person, does he have enough understanding of the Canadian business? I think the one bold decision was the fact that when I came out of university with a $30,000 debt, I had one of the dream jobs for anybody to come out of university, which was working on Wall Street in New York City. The boldest decision for me was that I dropped that job, got up, and I came back to Toronto with absolutely no plan. That to me was a huge thing. People, my friends, my family back home, everybody thought I was crazy. It's like, you know what, people kill for this job. And you're here getting up and leaving that job for you don't even know what. I believed in myself. I didn't really have a clear path as to what I wanted to do, but like I said, all I knew was that I want to live in Toronto and I don't want to do a 9-to-5 job, and I came here and I applied for a sales job. On a personal level, I think the second most influential decision of my life was at the time when I had worked for a few years and had a bit of money saved up. I really truly believed in Toronto's real estate. I had two options, either to be comfortable and live in a one-bedroom condo or to live in a very, very old house, buy the house, live in the basement and rent out my top floor, which is how I started into real estate. So it was a over 100-year-old house. The basement has leaks, basement had cockroaches, basement had insects, but I knew in my gut that that land on the small bungalow on a big piece of land at the time was very underpriced. And again, it was a series of decisions where people were like, this guy is absolutely out of his mind. And you know, in my gut, like I said, I spent hours and hours and nights doing research, and that gave me clear conviction in my mind that, you know, I think I'm headed towards the right, or it could have been a complete disaster. And those two decisions were somewhat educated risks, but I would say it's shaped me to the person I am today. I didn't come this far to only come this far. What that means to me is that if you have found what you love to do, you can't stop in that track. So for example, today I own 14 properties. Today I'm gonna have a healthy, good portfolio. My goal is not to stop there. My goal is to progress. My goal is to create more jobs for people. We definitely underline that word privilege, because if you have such a strong fundamental start, to stop here would be a waste for me. I get up every day. I don't have to motivate myself to do what I do because I love what I do. And I would say that to everybody. If you found a field that you love to do what you do and it doesn't feel like work, you can't do injustice to that, because very few people in the world have that opportunity. If you found that, I think you can just continue, you can achieve more, you can show other people the same path, and you can give people some sort of inspiration to, you know, move forward and do more. The advice I would give to young people is break the barrier. There's a million excuses that on a daily basis I can say why I didn't make it, why I didn't be successful. And everybody can make up a million reasons. The point is that there are enough examples out there, there's enough inspiration out there for you to know that if you really put your heart into something and if you really dedicate it towards something, you can 100% achieve it. There's people out there that are helping you, there's programs out there, there's mentors out there. There's so much positivity around, and like I said, work hard, find something that you love to do and just pursue it. My name is Sahil Jaggi. I didn't come this far to only come this far.